Hello, this is Eddie Jennings. I want to welcome you back to the channel and also wish a happy opening day to all the baseball fans out there. I myself am a fan of the Oakland Athletics, who were victorious in opening day, even though technically today is not opening day for them. They played 2 games in Japan against the Mariners, but for all intents and purposes, today is opening day. So if you're not a baseball fan, you can ignore the last 30 seconds or so, but if you are, hopefully today was a good day for you and your team. We are not going to continue talking about baseball. Rather, this particular video is going to be about purchasing software. And I know that sounds like the most riveting, exciting thing in the world, and it can be, but I'm not going to extol the greatness of purchasing software, but rather I want to cover something that I think is sometimes forgotten during the process of determining software cost and value to your business and such. And that topic is determining the cost of keeping current with your software. So I'm going to talk about the implications of staying current, give you an example of how you have to think through the cost for that as well. And also I welcome any of you, if you have advice or experience with software purchasing and things that folks need to make sure they think of that sometimes they don't think of, feel free to leave comments on the video. And also if you like the content of this, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and like this video. So the implications of staying current, what I mean by this is all software is produced in an imperfect state. There is no software in the world that the moment the devs say, all right, publish code and we're live, it's going to be absolutely perfect. The first thing that is always going to happen with software is it needs to be patched for security updates. Give a piece of software or given a piece of software, a person would probably be able to find a way to exploit a hole in it or somehow use it for nefarious purposes. So developers obviously are working against this, and as they discover things about their software they might not have thought of or thought through, or perhaps weren't even possible, X amount of days, weeks, months, or years ago, they will release patches and such. And the thing to remember is that devs don't work for free, and so part of the cost of the software is being able to maintain a release schedule for patches and stuff. Sometimes this is baked into the cost of the software, such as if you purchase Microsoft Windows Server for a given amount of time, you're going to receive free updates. Now, the updates truly aren't free in the fact that Microsoft calculated what it would cost to continue paying their devs and such, and bake that into the cost of buying your license for Windows Server. There are some other softwares, unfortunately I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I know that, hey, here's the software, and if you want the .1 update of it that includes all these patches, you get to pay a fee for it. I'm pretty sure Cisco, with its iOS software, you have to have a SmartNet agreement to be able to continue getting patches and such for their software. That might not be true anymore, but the last time I dealt with Cisco devices, that was true. So the other implication, in addition to you need to keep your software current for security patches, are feature updates. You determine that this particular application that costs X amount of money will bring Y amount of productivity to your business and such. Well, perhaps that killer feature is somehow improved in some way. You want to keep your software current to be able to take advantage of that. That's in addition to trying to fix holes. Devs are usually wanting to make their software better and make it more appealing for either new customers to get or more useful for their current customers. And another thing to consider is interoperability. They're in line of business softwares, you're going applications. You're going to have applications that probably need to work together. Perfect example of this is operating system that's on your client machines and servers, and the applications that need to run on it. If let's say that you have Server 2003, which of course is out of support and the like, and hey, this is the greatest server operating system ever, we're never going to change from Server 2003, even though Microsoft no longer releases patches and all that good stuff, but you have this great killer app that you want to get. I mean, this particular application, save your business hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it was developed this past year. Well, unfortunately, that thing probably is not going to run on Server 2003. So as a result, you needed to keep the operating system software of your servers up to date to where it can work with various applications. Now, that's kind of an obvious example, but it's something that is true, and you're going to have to deal with as far as making sure the applications that need to work together for your line of business work, keeping them current gives you usually a much greater chance of them being able to continue to work together. So an example of thinking through the cost of staying current is this. In my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, it's not tried and true for 100% of all business situations, but if you're deciding whether or not you can afford a particular application or operating system or whatever for your business, if you cannot afford to keep it current, then can you actually afford that for your business? In my opinion, the answer is no. And in my opinion, one of the greatest examples of it is how software assurance works with a lot of Microsoft volume licensing. Now, there are a variety of benefits you can get with software assurance, but I think the one that a lot of people think of is the fact that while you have software assurance, any updated version of the software that you have, you generally will have rights to be able to use. For example, if you are running server 2012 R2 right now in your enterprise, and if you've kept software assurance valid and active for it at any time, when server 2016 came around, you could upgrade to server 2016. That you're allowed to do that. Or likewise, if you have the most current version, that software assurance, in a couple of years when the next version of Windows Server comes out, you'll be able to have access rights to it. So in the case of software assurance, the cost of the software assurance piece is about 30% or so of the actual license. So, and then again, these are just numbers for easy math. Let's say that the cost of your Windows Server license that you need is, just to say, $1,000, and you're in like an open value license agreement where that $1,000 is split over the course of 3 years for or 2 or 3 years for your license. And part of that, you have software assurance, and so the software assurance piece would be about 30%, so about $300, and so you're splitting $1,300 over the course of 3 years. Well, you will probably, in my opinion, want to continue software assurance once that agreement is done, and so that would be an additional roughly $300, about 30% of that license price. And so as you're planning through how much it's going to cost to be able to have Windows Server, you have to anticipate that every couple of years, or you do the math and make it kind of an annual thing, that you will need to be able to pay this amount of money. Now, of course, it's not possible to tell the future at all times, and there may be situations where it doesn't make sense to continue software insurance. But the overall lesson is, as you're evaluating how much it costs for a particular application or operating system and such, how much it would cost to purchase that for your business, you need to think through any costs that would be associated with keeping it current. And that can also include training and such. Let's say that you have chosen to keep said software current. Software makes some radical change in how it functions. Well, there may be training costs involved with training your employees, and so that's when you have to ask yourself, do we want to pay to continue keeping the software current, or do we want to move to another application that overall would have a less cost? And of course, cost not just being dollars and cents, but thinking about hours of training and productivity and all that good stuff. Much like everything in IT, there is no hard fast rule. You have to do X, Y, and Z when you're purchasing software. But I wanted to bring to your attention the implications of why you would want to keep your software current, and just to make sure when you're thinking through if you want to purchase software or how much it might cost for your business, or does the cost make sense for the value the software brings, you want to continue considering the cost of keeping that software current and up to date. So hopefully this was useful for you, and if you're in a position where you're purchasing software and you're like, hey, I haven't thought of this, hopefully that this jogged your mind a bit, so you'll make sure that you think that through. If you thought the content was useful, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and you can always head over to ejsllc.com to contact me if there's anything that I can do to help you with software purchases. I'm happy to provide what advice I can. And also I invite you to comment on the video if you have other experiences with purchasing software and things that you know that, hey, you need to watch out for this or think through that and want to add to the discussion. Feel free to do that. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you the next time.